Yeah, welcome. The topic we'll be discussing in this session is process creation. That is, we know that a process is a program under execution. Now, a running process can create another process. So, if a process creates another process, then the process that creates a new process that will be called as the parent process. And the new process that got created that will be called as the child process. And in the Linux or Unix environment, every process will have its ID, and that is called as the process ID. So each and every process will have its identifier. Okay. So when a new process is got created, how the resources will be shared between the parent and the child process? That is a question. So parent process will have some set of resources. Resources in the sense it includes memory, it includes IO devices, and also it includes files. Okay. So, so how these resources are shared? So there are different options in which the resources may be shared. The first option is that all the resources may be shared by both parent and the child. That is, what does it mean in the sense if the parent has some x, if the parent has these resources like x1, x2, x3, up to xn. Parent has this many resources. Maybe x1 may represent memory, x2 may represent IO device, some IO device like hard disk, x3 may represent printer, like that it has n resources. Now, all these n resources can be accessed by both the parent and also by the child. Parent can also access all these resources, and also the child can also access all the resources. Okay. So that is how the first case means. That is, the parent and the children can share all the resources. So here, so here what happens in the sense, but say if parent want to access the resource x1, then at the same time child should not be allowed to access. So some lock should be maintained. Okay, then if parent is accessing this, then this resource will be locked so that child cannot access. Similarly, if child is accessing x2, then it will be locked for the parent so that parent cannot access. Okay. So this is the first way of resource sharing. The second case, what happens in this sense, a subset of parents' resource will be shared by the child. A subset of parents' resource will be shared by the child. Okay. So in this case, not all the parent, all the resources of the parent are shared by the child. Rather, only a subset of the parent resource is shared by the child. So, so if there are some resources like, say, let us assume five resources are there: x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5. Okay. So let us assume these are the five resources which are currently available. Now, parent may say that I will keep x1 and x1, x2, x3 with me, and I will share x4 and x5. So now what happens in the sense, these three resources x1, x2, x3 can be used only by the parent. Okay, it cannot be accessed by the child at all. Okay, whereas whereas the parent process may decide that I will share x4 and x5 with the child also. So this resource x4 and x5 can be used both by the parent and also by the child. Okay, so in the second case, a subset of the parent resources will be shared by the child also. Okay. But in the third case, what happens in the sense, none of the resources were shared between parent and the child. Parent and the child share no resources. So here what happens in the sense, parent will have his own set of resources, and child should get his own set of resources from the operating system. So, so initially when the child got created, let us assume that the parent has some resources like say R1, R2, and R3. Okay. Now if child also wants some resources, then child cannot get anything from the parent. Child should request whatever the resource. Say child want a resource Rx, some resource Rx it wants, then it should place a request to the operating system, and operating system then should check whether the resource is available or not. If the resource is available, then it will provide that resource to the child. Okay. So so none of the resource will be shared among the parent and the child. Okay, that is the third option. Similarly, how the parent and the child process can execute. So again, the execution of the parent and the child process can be of two different styles. One is the parent and the children can execute concurrently. That is, once the child process got created, the parent process is executing. Okay. So at one point, the parent process is creating a child process. So in Unix, the child process is created by using the fork command. So the fork command is called, so the child will be created. Okay. The child is created, and so this child process, so this statement will create a child process, and obviously the child process will start executing. Okay. So what the child process will contain in the sense, whatever the code that follows the fork command in the parent process, that will be in the child process. Okay. I repeat, whatever the code that follows the fork command in the parent process, so that code will be available in the child process, and the child process will uh, will start executing from that point. So the first case of execution option, what it says in the sense, once the child process created, the child will also execute, and the parent will also execute. Okay, so both the process will execute simultaneously, which is otherwise called as concurrently. Both the process will execute simultaneously. That is, the child process also will execute. At the same time, the parent process will also execute. Okay. The second case, what happens in the sense, the parent process may not have anything to do. So the parent process will just wait for the child to terminate. After creating a new child process, the parent process, what it will do in the sense, it may not perform any execution, whereas it will just wait for the child process to complete. Okay. It will just wait for the child process to get complete. So this is the so this is a typical example of a process tree in Linux. So so when you run Linux, by default one process will be always running, and that process is called as init process. One process will be always running, and that process is called as init process. And init process will always have the process ID as 1. That is this is the parent of all the process. Init process is the parent of all the process in Linux. Okay. So this init process is the parent. This is the parent of all other process in the Linux environment. And what it says in the sense, this init process has created three processes. What are they? Login is one process, kthread is another process, and sshd is another process. Okay. So so these are the three processes this init process has created, right? So so these are the child process of init process. So you can say the process ID of login is 8415, and the process ID of kthread is 2, and the process ID of sshd is 3028. Okay. So and this login process, it is creating another process, it is creating another child, and that is bash. Bash is nothing but terminal. Okay, where the Linux terminal where we give command, so that is called as bash. And this bash is creating two more processes, one is ps, the other one is emacs. And kthread has created two more processes, khelper and pdflash. And this sshd is creating one more child process which is the same as sshd, and this child is creating one more child which is tcsh. Okay. So like that, you can so like that the process tree can be of different width and height. Okay. But if you go towards the top of the tree, the init will be the parent of all the process in Linux, and the process ID of this process will be always 1. Okay, so this diagram just shows a process tree in Linux, how parent creates child and child creates further child, like that. Okay, so this is how so in Linux what happens in the sense, so it is the parent process that is the one which creates the child process. So initially parent process is executing. Okay, at one point of time, so this is parent process, at one point of time it is executing the fork command. Okay, so once the fork command is invoked, now whatever the statement that follows the fork command, that will be executed by both parent and the child. So in the child case, child may execute exec command, exec function of Linux, which is used to execute any command, or you can say that it is used to change the memory image of the child. Okay, until this exec is executed, the memory image of the child and the parent will be same, because child is nothing but a copy of parent. Okay, child is nothing but a copy of the parent following the fork command. So whatever there in the parent's memory, following the fork command, that same thing will be in the child process memory also. Okay, that same thing will be in the child process memory also. Okay, because child is nothing but a copy of the parent, which follows the fork statement. Okay, now if child wants to change its memory image, I don't want the same memory image of my parent, I want to have some other image, in the sense I want to execute some other program, in the sense the child can do that by executing the command exec. Okay, so how can you do that logically? How can you do that? How can we do? In the sense, see the fork command, after executing the fork command, you can check what is the value returned by the fork. What is the value returned by the fork? Okay, the value returned by the fork will be 0 in case of child process. Okay, and it will be some number greater than 1, and it will be some number greater than 1 in case of parent process. Okay, or you can say greater than 0. Okay, the whenever you call a fork command, what happens in the sense, the and if you whatever the value returned by the fork will be 0 in case of child process, whereas it will be greater than 0 in case of parent process. So we can write something like this. Say if the fork command is given something like this: PID is equal to fork. Let us assume PID is an integer variable. So PID is equal to fork. So how can we differentiate between the child and the parent? Because the statements are same. So how will you differentiate? This is child and this is parent. So for that, what we will do, in the sense, we will compare the PID. So we can say that if PID is equal to 1, so following this statement, if PID is equal to 0, so if PID is equal to 0, then that will refer to the child process. Okay, if PID is 0, that will refer to the child process. And now here you can change the memory map of the child by executing the command execl. As a parameter, you can pass some Unix command, any Unix or Linux command you can pass here. Okay, similarly, you can also check whether it is a parent process. So if you want to do something for parent process exclusively, which should not be done for child process, then you can check if PID is greater than 0. Okay, after the fork command, this you can write. So if you do like this, if PID is greater than 0, and here you can write some set of code. So this set of code will execute only for parent process, and this set of code will execute only for the child process, because PID will be 0 only for child process and PID will be greater than 0 only for the parent process. Okay, so what this diagram says, in the sense, when a program is getting executed, and while the program is getting executed, if that program want to create a child, then it can just call the fork function to create the child. Okay, and the fork function will return 0 for the child process, and the return value of the fork will be 0 for the child process, and it will be some number greater than 0 for the parent process. Okay, so finally, once the child completes its activity, it will perform exit. It is, it will come out. Okay, it will terminate. Now the parent, what it will do in the sense, parent also may perform its activity, and normally the parent will wait for the child to complete. Okay, there is some statement to perform that wait. Once the child has finished, then the parent will finish. Okay, so the address space, what is the address space of child and the parent? So normally the address space will be same for the parent and the child. That is, the child will duplicate the parent's address space. Whatever the memory address space of parent, that same thing will be the memory address space of child also. Okay. And also remember that the child will have only the commands which follows the fork. Okay, it will not have any other commands. It will not have the commands which are executed by the parent before fork statement. It will have only those statements which follows the fork statement. Okay, and child has a program. So there are two options available. One is child can duplicate the parent's memory image. Okay, or child can load its own program. If child want to load its own program, that is, if child don't want to duplicate the parent's memory image, then it has to execute this exec. Okay, so in Unix or Linux, the child process is created by using fork system call, which is what I have already discussed. And and if you want to change the memory image of the child, then you can call the exec system call. So fork is used to create a child, and exec is used to change the memory image of the child. So here is a simple program which is used to create a child process. So these are the header files it requires, and we are creating an variable PID which is of type PID underscore T. So basically this is one type of integer. Okay, it's one type of integer, and then immediately we are no other statements in the parent, we are immediately calling PID is equal to fork. So this will create a child process. So once this statement is executed, a child will be created. And what the child will contain? It will contain all the statement that follows the fork statement. So it means it will have all these statements. The child will have all these statements. Okay, it will not have this fork PID equal to fork, and also it will not have this. Other than this, it will have everything. Okay. So then what we do is we are checking if PID is less than 0, then it means it is a error. So we are telling that there is some error in creating the child, and we are coming out. Else we are checking if PID is 0. So as we discussed, if PID is 0, then it means it is the child process. So this part will execute only for the child process. So because this code is common for both parent and child, so we want to differentiate like which code is for parent and which is for child. So here we are checking whether PID is 0. If PID is 0, then it is a child process. Then you are telling that you should execute this particular command. So here we are changing the memory image of the child by executing the function exec. So there is a special version of exec which is called as exec-lp, and it takes three parameters. The first one is where the path of the command. So here user wants to execute the command ls. So user is telling where the command is stored. So the command ls is stored in bin directory. So bin/ls. And finally, what he want to execute? You want to execute ls. Okay, and the third parameter should be null. So this child process, what it is going to do is it is just going to perform ls. Ls means it will display the contents of that particular directory. Okay, whereas parent will not do this. Parent will not do this. Okay, if the else in the sense PID is not less than 0 and also not equal to 0, it means it is greater than 0. So in that case, it is a parent process. So what the parent process should do? Parent process should wait for the child. So it is waiting for how much time? No specific time. Until the child completes, it will wait. Okay. So once the child is finished execution, then it will until child has not completed, it will keep on waiting. Once the child has completed, then it will print stating that child has completed, and then it will return 0. Okay, so this is a small Linux program. So I have already typed that program. I will show you the execution of that code. Yeah, so it is this. Okay, let me give clear command ls. So the file name is, let me see, ls store.c. So the file name is child.c. Child.c. Let me open the file nano child.c. Okay, this is the code. It's the same as it is. I added one more header file which is sys/wait.h because here we are using the wait function. For that, that header file should be added. And so this is to create a variable PID, process ID, which is of type PID underscore t, which is a type of integer. And this command fork is used to create a child. PID is equal to fork. And then we are checking if PID is less than 0, then we are telling that fork failed. There is some error. And we are coming out. Return means it will come out. Okay. So return 1 because this function is returning an int. Else if PID is 0, then we are saying ex is elp. So this first argument represents the path of that particular command and the name of the command, which command you want to execute, where it is stored with its full path. Okay, so it is stored in bin directory ls. And what you want to do, I want to execute this command ls, and the third should be null. Okay, so this part will execute only for child process, because if PID is 0, then it means it is a child process. Whereas this part will execute only for parent process. Okay, this part will execute only for the parent process. So what parent process does, it just waits for how much time? No specified time, until the child complete. Once the child completed, then it says that the child has completed and it returns 0. Okay, so I'm saving it. Okay, let me compile. Yeah, and I'm executing. So you can see the ls is being executed. When I execute this child, ls is being executed. Actually, it is the name. The file includes both parent and child. Okay, so parent is invoking the creating the new child process by using fork, and the child process is executing ls. So everything is displayed. The content of that particular directory is being displayed. Okay, and then the parent is waiting for the child to complete. Once the child completed, it is telling child completed. Okay, so this is a small example of whatever we have discussed so far. Okay, so this is how the process is getting created. Okay, so this is how process was created. Similarly, process terminates automatically. There is no separate rule to terminate. Once the process completes, it will terminate, and the main function may wait normally for the process to get terminated. Okay? and and sometimes what happens in the sense, the process may get terminated. I mean, the child process may get terminated, and the parent process may have not got terminated. Okay, so in that case, the resources allocated to the child will not be cleaned up. Okay, the child process may got terminated, whereas the parent process has not yet completed. Okay, so in that case, what happens in the sense, the resources of the child will not be freed by the operating system. It will be still under those child, but actually the child process has completed. It may be either one child or more than one child. Okay, so in such cases, those processes are called as zombies. Those processes are called as zombies. So those processes will remain as zombies until the parent process completes execution. So once the parent process executed, then the resources of the child will be reclaimed. Okay, so what is zombies? What is zombies means the child has terminated. Okay, child has all the children's of a particular process has finished execution. Okay. uh, but once the child has finished execution, the control will return to the parent. So but parent has not yet finished execution, so these processes are called as zombies. Okay, child has finished but parent is still executing. Okay, so that state of the process is called as zombies. So if the parent is not yet finished, okay, then these processes will remain as zombies as long as the parent completes execution. Okay, so not finished yet. Okay. In some other case, what happens in the sense, if the parent is not using wait, if the parent is not using this wait instruction, then sometimes parent may finish quickly. Parent may finish quickly, whereas the child might not have finished execution. So, so what happens in the sense, parent has finished execution, it has completed, and it went out of the control, but the child has not finished execution. Okay, so child has not completed. So this situation is called as orphans. Okay, now this child will become orphans. Okay, so if the parent has not completed finished execution and the child has not finished execution, then what happens in the sense, this situation is called as orphans. Okay, so these child process will be called as orphans. Okay, so if there are any orphan process that were running, then what the operating system will do in the sense, if there were any orphans running, that is, the child process is still executing but the parent is not executing, in the sense, the OS, what it will do in the sense, OS will make these orphans, OS will make these orphans as a child of init process. Okay, OS will make this process, OS will make these orphans as a child of the init process. Okay, because these process has some resources, so once they complete, those resources should be relieved. So operating system will make init as its parent process, right? So you should remember these terms, zombies and orphans. Zombies are process where the parent has not yet finished execution, whereas the child has finished execution. Whereas orphans are the case where the parent has finished execution, but the child has not yet finished the execution. Okay. So this is about process creation and process termination in Linux. Okay. So hope you have understood. You can try this program, right? So fine. I think we'll stop here for this particular session. Yeah. Thank you.